Welcome to the Business Spotlight, where today the spotlight is shining on Ian with Beth from Avocado Properties. Welcome, Ian.
Welcome. Thank you for having me on. Looking forward to getting stuck into the questions.
I'm looking forward to hearing more about your journey. Well, to start us off with, tell us a little bit more about who you are, what you do, and how long you've been in business for, please.
Yeah, no problem at all. So I started as an estate agent at 19 back in 2023. In 2003, 20 years
like,
exactly.
That's like what now?
I started yesterday.
Fabulous.
No, so 20 years ago, actually. And I'd spent 16 years kind of building my career as an employed agent. And then about 3 years ago, we decided to start our business, and we went on a mission to try and improve the estate agency industry, try and make it better for the public that use the services, try and make it better for the people in it. I think the big thing for me has always been that it's quite an embarrassing industry to be in, mainly because of the reputation it's got. So the ultimate goal of starting my own business and moving away from employed and having kind of free reign on culture and regulations and service was to try and really create something that was better for people. With my ultimate goal, I've got 2 young daughters, to build a business they're proud of is the kind of tagline, really. That's the empathy and the emotions that comes into it. So yeah, 20 years in the game and now doing my own thing.
So I take it your daughters and the fact, and I've heard you talk about this before, that you wanted them to be proud of the fact that their dad's an estate agent. So that's, I take it, what motivated you starting the business. Did you always, even as a kid, did you always expect that you'd have a business one day?
Not really, no, actually. I think my eldest daughter's nearly 7. So when she was born, there's a little bit of a shift in your moral compass, I think. And, you know, as a sort of young, cheeky chap in my 20s, being in a estate agency with the competition and the suits and the nice cars and stuff, it was great. You know, the sales targets, I'm a competitive individual, so I enjoyed that part of it. But yeah, when my daughter came along, you just start to see things a little bit different when you become a parent. And I think that's probably when the transition changed for me, that I do a lot of running and listening to podcasts and listening to ebooks and things like that. I just started to think in a different way. And that's when I started to feel that maybe for me, it was time to have a real influence on trying to make things better for other people rather than just myself. So that's probably where the transition started, I think.
Absolutely love that. And actually that nicely leads into my next question. What is it that you're great at? Like, what's the business really good at?
I think the business is really good that when a client comes to use us, the ultimate goal is that client would recommend us, and not just recommend us to someone, but recommend us to their mum. That's the ultimate goal for us. It's a very family driven culture, but we try and make sure that the marketing, the service and the process is so good that each client would recommend them to their mum, because you would only recommend a service to your mum that you are 100% confident in. So that's the process that we're good at, is making sure that at the end of the service, someone proactively recommends us.
I love that. Absolutely love that. Now, as always, being in business is not always that straightforward. So what have been some of the challenges that you've had since you've started?
Yeah, we've had loads of challenges. I mean, day one, we got caught up in the marketing game and trying to make sure the brand and the logos and the website was correct. But unfortunately, we made a mistake on the website that we picked and the person that was going to create the website. So we spent a lot of money on something that we then had to replace. And that was just knowledge and inexperience of I guess, kind of being sold down the river a little bit. So that was the first mistake we made, which was pretty much day one.
Yay, good start.
Yeah, we've made some errors. We've maybe made 1 or 2 errors on people that we've allowed into the business. I'm normally quite strong at saying no to more people than yes, but sometimes you listen to someone's story and you really want to help, even though maybe their personality doesn't align with the business, and you let emotions take control and you want to support them. So we made a mistake there. But overall, I think we've been quite good at actually having a business partner. I think has made a big difference for me, not doing it on my own, but having a 50-50 business partner in Mike. One of the early mistakes I nearly made that I didn't, and the advice I got from my brother who owns a business, was go into business with someone that's got the opposite skill set to you.
Nice.
And I nearly went into business with someone that was a mirror image of me.
Yeah.
And I think that was probably a mistake that I didn't make, that I could have easily made. And that has helped us make a good kind of journey and a good path laid out by, we've got a different view on things. So we sort of have a bit of a process internally, same as I have with my wife. Actually, we either both agree or we don't do it. If one of us wants to do it and the other one doesn't, we don't do it. We have to both be aligned, and that we've pretty much stuck to that from start to finish, and it's worked well.
Nice, love that one. So talk me through some of your wins.
It's been a crazy ride, actually. I mean, we launched 6 days before the first lockdown. So we started our business and then we got shut down effectively. So the win for us was getting through the lockdown period with our brand really getting out there, even though we couldn't trade as estate agents. We couldn't do, valuations or viewings or anything like that. So we were 3 months down the line and we actually couldn't do any business because of lockdown. Wow. So we just went out to the public and spoke to them, and we just updated them with what was going on, and we used our social media skills to really get our face out there. And that was the first big win, is we realized that we were being noticed. And I remember 4 weeks in to kind of going on social media and talking, we had this big thing about, we don't wear suits, we don't wear ties, we wear pink hoodies. That's the opposite of how traditional we're not, effectively.
Yeah.
But I was in Sainsbury's at a checkout 4 weeks into lockdown, and 2 people were having a conversation with me either side of the checkout, and they'd seen the videos, they loved what we were doing, they'd noticed the brand, they noticed the hoodie. And that was a big win for me, because I realized it's working, the marketing's working. Another amazing win that I always sort of sits home with me is one of my first clients that I helped move. I knocked on the door on completion day, and I was bringing them some donuts, and I was picking up their keys to help them with completion day. I wasn't helping them do the move, but just going to them to grab the keys.
Gosh, that's above and beyond. Yeah,
no, I brought the kids some donuts to keep them occupied, but I wasn't doing the box lifting. But the door opened, and the lady's sister was there, and she said, "Oh, someone's at the door." Anyway, the lady Heather came to the door and said, "Oh, this is our estate agent, Ian." And it was the first time I'd ever been called our estate agent. I'd only ever been called the estate agent.
Yes.
Like, honey, the estate agent's here or whatever.
Yeah,
So to be actually sort of called our estate agent, like the family's estate agent, it was a real big win early on. So they're 2 trigger moments. And then in terms of, year 2, our second financial year last year, we doubled turnover to the first year. Really proud of that, because we went 25% over what our business plan target was. So
nice. Well done.
That from a monetary point of view is also a great win.
Yeah. How did you celebrate that?
I went to Dominican for Christmas and New Year.
Fabulous. That's good. I'm glad you've got an answer, because often that's where most people go,
yeah.
Celebrate?
Didn't have a holiday for 3 years, but we booked it. We knew we were having a good year, and I wanted to, don't tell the grandparents, but I wanted to get away from the grandparents for Christmas. Just have a little bit of time, just me, the immediate family with the girls in the swimming pool. Love the grandparents, but sometimes you need a Christmas off, especially when you're the cook.
Of course.
So yeah, that was a nice celebration out there.
Nice, love that one. So if you were to start your business again now, what would you do differently?
I love it when people ask that question and you go back and you think about things. There's a couple of micro things, like I say, with people, with the website, those mistakes that you make, you learn from them. I would have probably adapted some more Google training. I went really strong on my social media stuff, but the website, because I didn't have true belief in it at the beginning, I didn't get myself up to speed enough on Google. And I think from a business owner point of view, we did a lot of it, and we still do a lot of it ourselves without really looking at the value of the work that we were doing. We probably could have employed earlier to actually release us from some of the jobs that we didn't need to be doing, but we were obsessed with keeping our costs down as a new business. So we worked a lot of 15-hour days where actually we could have employed, and potentially we could have done more of the stuff that was more valuable that only we could do. But that, I think, you just learn over time as an owner of a business. Yeah.
And that, hence why, hindsight's 2020, right? So it's interesting to always look back and go, what would I do differently?
Yeah.
Where do you see your industry going in the next 5 years?
Yeah, it's a great question because, estate agency, it's unregulated. It's not a profession. You don't need a qualification to get into it. It's a middleman. You don't actually need an estate agent to move home. You need a mortgage, you need a solicitor, you need a property to buy, but you don't actually need an estate agent. So there's a very good chance my industry could not be a thing. That's something that's very easily could happen with, a big merger like Rightmove and Purple Bricks or something like that could pretty much wipe out the whole industry. So in 5 years' time, I'd like to think it's better. And I think we're making headroads. We're very well known within the industry because we're doing things so differently. We do things much like they do in the American model, where all of our agents are business owners. They're not employed. So each client gets a business owner from start to finish. They get that care and attention, that service you get from a business owner.
Yeah.
Whereas in my industry, majority of people are quite inexperienced and they're quite young and they don't actually know what they're getting from a service point of view. So over the coming years, it could be a rocky road with the economic climate for agents, because it is very much high turnover, high cost, low profit. So I think we'll probably see quite a lot of agents fall away after the boom we've just had. And I don't know, but what we're trying to do is do it differently so that we're future-proofing our part of the industry, really.
Yeah. So what kind of changes do you think as a business you're going to have to make in the next 5 years?
I definitely think it will be regulated at some point. I definitely think we'll have to take on qualifications. That's a big rumor within it, that I think in America you have to be licensed, and I don't know what level that takes you to, but I definitely think we'll have to be regulated and qualified as a certain standard to become a profession. I also think probably my industry is very archaic. I think we need to actually catch up with the modern day culture. And I don't mean modern day like kids and TikTok. I mean,
although I'm sure you'd be great on TikTok.
Yeah, I do have 11,000 followers on TikTok. No, I think I more mean around how people like to be communicated with. Estate agents are very impatient, drop a leaflet, sales calls. But actually the way of the world of sales has changed massively, but my industry hasn't grasped that. People want to be helped. They want to have value. They want to ask questions when they're ready. But my industry is very impatient. So hopefully over the next 5 years that happens, and it's something that we're very, very conscious of, how we talk to people. So that will continue to evolve as hopefully the world evolves, we evolve with it, rather than being left in the back.
Okay, that's an interesting one. I love that one. Who's your inspiration? Like, who do you find inspiring?
I still look at the whole like Richard Branson Virgin thing, and I still look at that and think, what he's managed to do with his personal brand and what he's managed to do with his company, and how they move it forward as a brand, how they move it forward in cultural times. You look at their most recent advert they did about, embracing being different and things like that. But then he's still going on social media and sunbathing on an island and celebrating his business success, but people don't alienate him, or they don't get too green-eyed envied about that.
Yeah.
So that balance that he has with his business on his personal brand, the success of his company, and the fact that it keeps moving forward while he's quite clearly enjoying his own time.
Yeah.
I find that quite inspiring. I'm not massively inspired by him individually, but just that whole concept of what he's managed to achieve is really cool. I would have said Elon Musk before about a year ago, but now I'm not so sure.
Let's not go into too much detail on that one. Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay. So some of the really big names for you.
Yeah, but then there's also people. My passion, my hobby outside of work is running and ultra marathon running. So I've got people inside that wouldn't make sense to anyone, but someone like Kilian Jornet, who just won the UTMB 100, is very, for me, inspirational as an ultra runner, because he can do things that I probably will never be able to do. So yeah.
Even just the thought of an ultra is just mad. I'm glad that I get around a half or a full marathon. Like an ultra feels like a little bit too far. So well done, you. Anyway, what do you still want to achieve in the next 5 years? You, not the business, but you. What do you still want to achieve in the next 5 years?
Yeah, I've got a dream board. Me and my wife actually did it together. We used Photoshop and we kind of put it together. And so there's a lot of things that I want to do. You know, with this business, we're definitely not finished. We've always had this 10-year plan. I'm going to turn 40 this year. Mike turned 40 last year, my business partner. So, you know, we've got this mission to be in a position to potentially retire at 50. That was always our goal. So to do that, it means the business needs to do what we want it to achieve. It needs to be worth what we want it to achieve. And we need to build the business with the buyer in mind. You know, we don't want to build a business that is totally built around us. So we need to bring that strategy into play. I've definitely got aspirations to buy a holiday home or two. It's a real key thing that I'd love to do, especially as I've got young girls. I'd love to be able to just pop away for the weekend with the girls, and you know, whether that's on the south coast or whether that's in Spain or somewhere like that would be awesome. From a personal challenge point of view, I've got some ultra marathon stats that would probably scare most people, but yeah, I've got
I'm sure they would.
I've got another couple of, I've got 4 ultra marathons this year. So yeah, I've got some goals for that and some times that I want to do and things like that as well. Overall, my personal goals that I set every year is just to make sure that they align with the ultimate goal. And I've always had this thing in my head about being the difference on my family tree that affects the generations for grandkids of grandkids of grandkids. So I don't know whether that's a financial thing. It potentially is, but I want to have a real impact in my family tree, that I'm kind of that measure where the kids of the kids of the kids will always be in a good place. I don't know if that's an egotistical thing, but it's just something that I'd like to know, that what we've done, the hard work we built and put in, means that no one has to struggle in the family tree down the line. So that's the long-term sort of ultimate goal, and the annual goals fill into those basically.
Gosh, I absolutely love that. That's amazing. I kind of go, gosh, I had 2 more questions, but I'll leave it there. No, actually, I'm going to ask the 2 more questions. I absolutely love that. That's fantastic. What would you tell 18-year-old Ian if you had the opportunity to go back now? What would you tell him?
I would definitely tell him not to trust everyone. I'm a very loyal, trusting person, and in business, when you're employed, I felt that, especially in the sales culture, you can trust people too easily. And as a loyal individual, I mean, I only worked for one company, and was then stabbed in the back at the end of it. So for me, don't trust people, and always, that sounds bad, don't trust people necessarily in business just because you want to. Trust them because they give you a reason to trust them. That's probably a better way of putting it. I wanted to trust people and I did, whereas I should have seen that I was able to trust someone first. And I also think, if I went back to 18-year-old Ian, just remember that you influence your outcomes, and how you react to situations makes a massive difference. And they're the things that you can control, basically. And as a young person, you don't really realize that. You just think the world's against you if it goes bad, or you think you're the bee's knees if it goes well. But in reality, it's you that makes the action, you know. So that's probably something I would ram it. I teach that to my daughters now, even at a young age. I try and really remind them that if something's not great, maybe you can't change it, but how you react to it is all on you. I think that's a good life lesson.
Yeah, that's a great life lesson. I would agree with that one. And the last question, what would you say to anybody that's thinking about starting a business, or that's about to go into business right now? What advice would you give them?
I would say do it. Make sure you're passionate about it. I think for business with purpose, it results in profit. If you're going into business for profit without a purpose, you might struggle to get the profit. So if you're going to go into business, I think you have to be really passionate about either wanting to be a business owner and you're an expert in a field, or you're an expert in a field and you just have to be a business owner to do your own thing. But you love it. I think that's the main thing. You have to have a real passion for it, because motivation, I'm not a big fan of the word motivation. You have to be driven in business, because there'll be days where you don't fancy doing it, but you have to remember that there's the passion, there's the ultimate goal behind it. So don't do it for the sake of doing it. Do it because you love it and you want to do it.
Perfect. Well, a beautiful way to end. Thank you so much, Ian, for your time and for sharing your story, and some absolute pearls of wisdom there. The link with Ian's details will be in the comment section below, so you can reach out or find his website in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching this Business Spotlight, and until next time.
Thanks very much.